Greetings, hello, and welcome everyone to Age of Mythology Retold. This is going to be a getting started with the Greeks guide video. Couple of quick housekeeping items before we get into it. Game key was provided to me by World's Edge during this preview period, so I want to give them a special shout out. Also, this video is going to be dedicated more towards players who have never played Age of Mythology before, so I may not be doing the exact strategies, the best practices for a Greek game. It's more of a player perspective who's never played as Greeks before. Finally, there's going to be other tutorial videos, how I use the controller, other console tips about Age of Mythology in a guide playlist, so be sure to check that out. Let's go ahead and dive in. So with Greeks, in Age of Mythology Retold, the Greek pantheon, that's Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. You use your villagers as the backbone of your economy. Villagers are what are going to gather resources as well as build buildings. That may sound like common sense, but other pantheons like the Norse, that's not necessarily the case. They use different units between building buildings and gathering resources. So right off the beginning, I do have auto villager queue turned on. So villagers are just going to be trading so long as I have the money and the population to do so. If you don't have that turned on, you can simply just click the right stick here when you highlight over your town center, press right trigger to open, click the right stick. Villagers will just start training, and I recommend that. You can also set villager presets, which I don't have turned on right now, and that will just give your villagers a task to do immediately. But right off the bat, we want to start getting food. And I think the best way to do that is start going for the livestock that is going to be near your town center. So that's going to be elk. There should also be some chickens nearby. Looks like, where are they? They're here somewhere. Well, I can take my scout and kind of get a better lay of the land. Maybe they're up here. Yeah, okay, here are the chickens. So you might want to go for the chickens as well. They don't give you as much food, but they are there. And then lastly, you're going to get some berry patches as well as some cows. Now, your cows or goats, depending on various maps, they're going to fatten over time. I think that maybe some of them might even be oxes. I can't recall. Anyway, the gold bar over their health bar is going to show the food amount increasing. So my recommendation, you should hold off until they're fully fattened so you can get the most food out of your livestock here. A couple of other villagers we can use to build some houses, make sure we have some population going, and then it's really important to continue scouting the map, get some more livestock, see where other natural resources are, where our opponent may be. You can either do this yourself by pressing A on your scout to move them around, or right trigger, go up here, press A on auto scouting, and you give it a second, and he'll just start running around the map, uncovering Fog of War for you. It's really up to your discretion there. To age up as the Greeks, to get from age 1 to age 2, you're going to need, I don't know if they call it a landmark building or not, but you need a specific building, and that is the temple. Most civs, if not all of them, require the temple. So we need 150 wood, 150 gold. So let's send these villagers off to get some gold. Drop-off buildings are going to be useful as the game progresses, and these are places where your villagers can drop off various amounts of resources, making it shorter travel distance back to your town center. For the Greeks, they have two different kinds. It's the storehouse, which interestingly is for both gold and wood, and then the granary for food. Now, we're actually lucky here. There's kind of a tree patch near this gold pile, so I'm going to put this, I don't know, maybe like right there-ish. And that's going to reduce the travel distance for these villagers with the gold going back to the town center. You may not think that that's that big of a deal, but over time, this travel distance will make it less efficient for your economy. And if you were to build a drop-off building, will make it much more efficient for your villagers. So they only have to go right there instead of all the way back to the town center. For things like livestock, I don't really do it because you're not going to be gathering that far. They don't really have that much food. Maybe something that's a little bit further away, like maybe the berry patch I might do. It's kind of all dependent. I mean, maybe even the chickens. I mean, if it's really far away, like let's say that these were elk instead of cows that I could manually move. then yeah, I would put a granary here. Now I'm building the temple to age up now, and that'll be really the last barrier, the only barrier to go from age 1 to age 2. I guess outside of the resource requirements, which to go from the archaic age to the classical age, you're going to need 400 food, which you're really close to doing. When you age up, you get to select a minor god in Age of Mythology, and that's going to give you a different unique unit, as well as some unique upgrades, depending on what you pick. The last resource that you can gather for the Greeks is your favorite. That's that lightning bolt at the top. The way you actually gather it as Greeks is by praying at the temple with your villagers. So they just kind of stand here and do this praying animation, and then you'll get favor. You spend that on unique upgrades or myth units. So I can make a Pegasus Scout. That's 2 favor, 1 population. Usually in the beginning of the game, you don't need favor, and it's not as efficient with your villagers. So I recommend that you send your villagers to go do something else. You might need a little bit right off the bat to, Hades, for example, has a really cool unique upgrade where you get free gold for the rest of the game. A slow amount of gold just shows up. And that might be something you want to get with your villagers with the favor. But other than that, I just recommend you go for what you need for your age up with your villagers. All right, so now we've hit the right amount of gold to age up. So you can do this in 2 ways. You can select your town center, right trigger, and then press classical age down at the bottom. Or left trigger and X pulls up your powers and age up menu. And you can do it that way as well. So here are the 2 options you can pick, Hermes or Athena. It all depends on which way you want to go. Your unique leader power is going to be Ceasefire. That's like Yap Yaps, please don't shoot me if you're coming from Halo Wars. Or Restoration. That's like a heal and repair. Also if you're coming from Halo Wars. Your unique myth unit, or the Minotaurs, or the Centaurs, as well as unique upgrades. This favors Cav, and this one favors infantry. I think with my playstyle for Zeus, I like the infantry route, so I'm going to select Athena. Now, when we finish aging up, we are going to get a free myth unit from our temple. And then we're going to focus on getting our military going in Age 2. Just a small tip here as we're nearing our population limit. I have seen some things online that's quite interesting in regards to towers and houses. So in Age of Mythology, your buildings actually act as walls. They can be a complete barrier to how units move. And that's completely different than Age of Empires 4. Your buildings are not walls in Age of Empires 4. If you put 2 buildings next to each other, a unit can move in between them. What I see sometimes, though, are players will actually surround their towers with houses. And I think that's like a risk-reward type play. So what you could do is you could upgrade the tower here, which by upgrading the... What's it actually called? A sentry tower. And we're going to upgrade it to a watchtower. When it gets upgraded to a watchtower, it's going to have ranged attack. So it will actually fire upon enemies when it sees them, which is great. It'll help kind of more defend your base. And I like that play call a lot. We can actually make a more efficient drop-off point there. However, the risk is that this is a garrison spot. You can see on the bottom left panel there, you can put 10 villagers or 10 units in there. And if I fill that up with, surround it with houses, not even my own units can get there. Unless I destroy a house. But then again, neither can my opponent. They can't destroy this tower unless they have ranged units, or they destroy the house that's in the way. So just be mindful of that. That's kind of something I see a lot of people do online. And that is an option for you. So now that we're in Age 2, it's usually where you see some military getting going, further expanding upon your economy, getting some upgrades, things of that sort. The Age Up building that we're going to need to get from Age 2 to Age 3 as the Greeks is the Armory. It's where we're going to be getting upgrades for our units and things like that. And then again, the bulk of my focus in this game for my military is going to be infantry, basic infantry. That's from your military academy. I'm going to build a couple of these. I'm going to build probably 3 of these. And I've always said that more production buildings is better than just a single production building. There's a lot of benefits to that. Reason being is you can produce, of course, multiple units at one time, which is very important if you want to get a military building faster, or you want reinforcements to a different location. You could also be producing units and getting upgrades at the same time. There's really no downside other than it takes up space and you need more wood. And if that's something you're in abundance of, as I am currently right now, then you should totally do it. As we're running low on natural food here through livestock and berries and all the rest, you might want to start pivoting into farms, which are going to produce or consume a lot of wood. There is a little bit of a tip if you want easier farm placement around your town center. You can select a group of villagers like these 6, select the farm. Now I'm going to hold the left trigger in, and I'm going to hover actually over my town center. Well, it does it around grain. Oh, there it goes. It should auto-place farms kind of around your town center, so you don't necessarily need to hover your cursor around that. So now that we have everything in place to go from age 2 to age 3, we want to look and see what the requirements are. So we're going to need 800 food, 500 gold. We can select that. Again, we're given another choice on what we want. Apollo focuses on ranged soldiers and vision. And then the other option we have are health and cavalry. We can also look at these individual technologies. Increasing the hit points of all units by a small amount. The Hydra is our unique myth unit. A lot of these are really cool. There's also way over here, I believe it's your temple can heal with Apollo, which is actually really great. To my understanding, that is actually actively that heals as well. So like if you're in battle, one thing you could do is like bring some villagers behind your army and just build a temple kind of close to where you're battling, and you'll heal your units. Now, in a perfect scenario, you probably should have at least some military going in between age 2 and age 3, and sometimes you'll actually have a lot of military, depending on how the game is kind of progressing. I'm playing against an easy AI opponent, so just for the purposes of this video. So that might also be why, you know, you may not have a military, as the game may not require it at that point. Another thing you can do is expand your economy and how much it can be built. And what I mean by that is, let's build another town center. 350 wood, 350 gold. If you put that on a settlement site, that'll increase your max population. And, of course, it's a drop-off for all resources. So I see there's a gold pile here, more trees over there. We can send a military around here just to make sure that area is secure. Looks like we're going to be fine. Now, depending on your game settings, you may also have auto queue immediately turned on when you build that new town center. And you might be double pumping villagers, which, generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you have some place for them to go and you don't have too many idle villagers hanging around at one point. Now, we have a little bit of a military. It's probably a good time to attack when we're getting in the transition between age 2 and age 3, or even sooner, depending on how the cadence of the game that you're playing is, depending on what your opponents are doing and all the rest. A couple of small items to just keep in mind as we kind of keep working throughout the ages here. You want to keep an eye on your population counter. The game will notify you as you're getting close to your population, but it's really important to make sure that you always have the population to sustain the units that you're making. So just be mindful of that. There is a limit to the houses that you can make. So to continue expanding your population, you're going to need to go to these settlement sites and build new town centers. Also, even if your military is out and fighting somewhere, keep an eye on your idle villager count. If you see too many high idle villagers, just send them somewhere to go work what works best for the resources that you want to gather. We're going to get in a little bit of an engagement here. I'm going to drop my healing leader power on me. Heal my units, and then I'm also going to get the lightning bolt. I'm going to kill this frost giant. Oh, that was satisfying. I don't think I actually win this. Oh, maybe I do win this engagement. And now we almost have... Oh, we need to build a fortress to go from age 3 to age 4. I mean, they're actually messing them up pretty good there. Just the army that I have. So we need a fortress to go from age 3 to age 4. You can find that on the military section. That's pressing Y from your villagers when you open up with the right trigger. That's like a keep if you're from AoE 4. I believe that actually costs some favor to build too. It does. It costs 10 favor. And there's a limit to how many you can build. You can build 10 of them. As well as a limit of 20 watchtowers. I kind of like that actually. So you can't just spam the map with defensive structures. And we are soaring in the resources. So if we have a lot of resources, probably a good time to buy unit upgrades. That's pressing X on that right-hand panel there. You can see that researching, getting some more units. We want to build some more production buildings. If we have a really high economy count with our resources, there's really no reason to be what's called floating in the resource count, which means you just have all this extra resources, unless you're saving up for something big. And if you're not, then go ahead and start spending that. Get a military going, bulk up your economy, see what works best for you. We do have enough to go from age 3 to age 4, so let's do that. And I'm gonna go Hera with the Medusa and the Lightning Storm is just amazing. And just like other production buildings, you should also maybe perhaps consider building multiple temples. I did research that upgrade where they heal. So I may want to be a little bit more forward thinking on where I want to place them. You can start making control groups for your buildings as well. I go into this a little bit more in depth on the controller tutorial video, as well as a lot of what I'm doing here. But you could double press A on a series of buildings that are similar, like these military academies. Hold both triggers, go up to this control group, press X. That's now a control group. And I don't know if... Okay, if you press A on a temple, and let's say this other one's like out of line of sight, you can't get them both on the same camera view, hold the left trigger and press A on the second one. That's how you select both of them. So I now have all of my production set to a control group, and you can set rally points for all that as well. So now I can actually make 2 Minotaurs at once. They're going to be trading from both temples. What you'll ultimately find as we progress through the ages is gold will be an increasingly rare and valuable resource because almost everything requires gold in this game. So you want to be kind of getting aggressive on getting the forward gold resources if you can. There's also the upgrade of the pickaxe to increase the gather rate for your gold piles. Another way you can kind of fix this problem is by trading. Trading works a little bit different in Age of Mythology compared to Age of Empires 4. The difference is where you're going to go with your traders. Now, distance is going to increase between your market and where the traders go is how much gold you'll get. And this is just for example purposes. I'll drop a market here. You can actually send the market to any town center, whether it's yours or an ally's town center. Since I'm playing 1v1, of course, I'm going to be going to my own town center. We're going to set the rally point right there, back to our town center. And as I train traders, they're just going to run back and forth between the two. There are some wolves here that will need to be dealt with. We'll train the donkey caravans. There are different upgrades you can get as well. One of them is increase the speed. Here it is, coinage. Increase the speed. You're not actually going to know how much gold they're going to get on the trade route until they actually go to the town center. But what this will do is this will give you more or less like infinite gold. There's a joke that they call this the infinite gold glitch, infinite money glitch, whatever. So you're going to be getting infinite amount of 2 different resources. Well, really, I guess 3 out of the 4, which is food from your farms. Your farms have infinite food. Favor by praying at the temple, and then gold for going to the market and back. So I'm getting 20 gold going back and forth there. It's actually not awful given the distance. But again, the longer the distance between your town center and the market that your traders are going to be spawning from, the more gold that you're going to be getting. I always say that in general RTS games, and this one is included, more units that have fewer upgrades beats less units with more upgrades. So what I mean by that is if you have the money to, say, get upgrades for your units or build many more quantity of units, you're going to want to go with the quantity. Generally speaking, unless they have an insane amount of upgrades and you have none, like they have age 4 upgrades and you only have like age 2 upgrades or something, you're going to win. Well, I don't want to overwhelm you too much with content in this video, so I think this is probably going to be a good stopping point here. We are in age 4. There is more that you could do, such as researching the secrets of the Titans, which is going to be from your main town center here. You can buy this upgrade for 800 each and then 50 favor. And that's going to be essentially, you're going to grab it from this leader wheel. You put it on the ground and then send... Oh, you know what? Let's drop this. The lightning storm. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Lightning is going to strike his buildings if there's no units. Dadgum, that thing's ridiculous. It's smoking his units and his buildings. There are rechargeable leader powers. But I hope you found this helpful of getting started with the Greeks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have any additional tips that you'd like to provide to new players, or if I got something wrong in this video, please correct me in the comments. And again, there's a playlist with Age of Mythology guides geared towards Xbox and controller players. Check that out. We're going to be covering AOM extensively here on the channel. That's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you, James.